What's going on, guys? We're back with another episode in our Californian adventure. We're on Tuesday, January 28th. We hit the thrill capital of the world for a long, arduous journey of nabbing every credit we possibly could at Six Flags Magic Mountain. It was an epic-filled day with launches, inversions, and drops as we rode 15 coasters, were flipped upside down 39 times, reached speeds of up to 100 miles per hour, and managed 10 different manufacturers all in one park. This is our experience at Six Flags Magic Mountain. We managed to make it to the park right as it opened, and were ecstatic to find the place near empty. Seriously, I cannot stress how empty this park was. There were portions that were abandoned as we made our way around the park, which was an absolute blessing since we had only 8 hours to conquer this place, and even with an empty park, it still took us the majority of the day. We decided to save X for towards the end to build up Heather's anticipation, so we turned right and hit full throttle first, which turned out to be a great way to start the morning. The coaster was fun, with a nice launch and awesome hang time on the loop. From there, we made our way deep into the back right of the park, and I made my return to the much maligned hyper, Goliath, which I don't think is as bad as many claim, but it's definitely not great either. The Helix, though, still holds up, as I remember graying out like crazy on that as a kid, and I still did on this trip. After that, it was time to hit our next RMC, Twisted Colossus. One of my most anticipated for this year, and it did not disappoint. This ride was balls to the walls crazy with awesome elements, and that stall, straight insanity. I was also glad to see it dueling, as I was worried that would be non existent on such a slow day, but thankfully that wasn't the case. Scream was up next, and I was expecting a fun ride since I love Bizarro, but it didn't come anywhere near matching Bizarro's forces and thrill. Instead, Scream was bland and rough, rattling us around like crazy through its parking lot layout. It even gave Heather a headache and almost destroyed the riding day before it could even really begin. From there, we made our way to Batman the Ride, which I ended up enjoying more than the Great Adventure counterpart I've ridden. This one was smoother, yet managed to maintain its forces and sheer thrill. However, I did like Great Adventure's paint job better. The blue didn't really do anything for me here. My hatred of stand ups came back to greet me in the form of Riddler's Revenge, and it even had me eating my words. I actually like this ride, and while I still would rather see it as a sit down, this was still a great ride with an amazing layout, one of my favorite on a B&M, and the inversions are amazing. I love the loops over the lift hill, and the way this ride utilizes its terrain is also another of its great qualities. But it's still a stand up, so minus 10 for Gryffindor. By now, Heather's headache had almost shut her down, but a few Excedrin and some food, and she was back in the game, where we dove back into our coaster riding with a ride on the epic Gold Russia. We headed into the underground afterwards, and with West Coast racers down, we quickly jumped on Apocalypse in the interim. Apocalypse was interesting. It had an amazing layout and was a fun, non-stop thrill ride that shot through turns and drops with crazy laterals, but the restraints killed me. They caught me bad, and it was a ride where I was forced to just grit through the pain of the restraint digging into me as the ride tore through its course. And I never got a chance at a re-ride either, as there was just too much to hit. So hopefully next time I could manage a better ride. West Coast Racers was back up and running by the time we got off Apocalypse, so we hopped on to get the first of 2020's new credits. This ride was a lot of fun too, with a great launch, fun, smooth inversions, and decent theming. That high five element was also a trip. Loads of fun. This is a great ride for marathoning. From there, we headed up the mountainside to fly at the speed of fear on Tatsu, and holy hell did we. That ride is insanely terrifying and amazing at the same time. That lift hill is pure horror staring down at the pathway below as it gets smaller and smaller, and I loved every second of it. It's also forceful as hell, especially in the back row. That pretzel loop Jesus Christ. Making our way down the other side of the mountain, we found Viper and hopped a ride on that, and there isn't much more to say than it's another arrow looper in the books. I've been on Great American Scream Machine and Viper back in the day, so I knew what to expect from these big boy arrows. But this is another coaster model I can't wait to be done with conquering. With Viper out of the way, it was time for the main event, the big dog, the Titan, X2. I had a few rides on this back in 2004, and even I was still scared to get back on this thing. I had built it up to near mythological proportions for Heather and ended up psyching myself out.
You think she's ready? Let us know. I don't think she is. I'm not ready, and I've been on it.
This ride was insane and is still one of the craziest coasters I've ever been on, and one of the few that I've held on to the restraint for dear life. The New Revolution, or Classic Revolution, or whatever the fuck they're calling it, was up next, and it was fine. A bit anticlimactic after the monstrosity known as X2, but also kind of refreshing as we needed something tamer to come down from our frenzied state. We made our way back up the mountainside as we realized we missed Ninja and grabbed a quick ride on that. I have a soft spot for the Arrow suspended coaster, having been on some awesome ones from the Bat at Kings Island to Vortex at Canada's Wonderland. And Ninja is definitely one of the tamer ones, more on par with Iron Dragon, but it's still a fun ride, and a coaster model I hope they manage to maintain so it can continue to populate parks for years to come. Our last coaster was Superman Escape from Krypton, if you can even really consider it a coaster, and it was okay, but another ride that felt very flat and bland to me. The acceleration took forever, and the train facing backwards was a nice touch, but it didn't feel forceful or really all that thrilling. I also feel like we didn't even make it to the top of the spike. From there, we had a little over an hour left for re-rides, and instead of making our way around the park again, hitting up our best rides, we marathoned the shit out of Twisted Colossus, because why the fuck not? And we managed to get 10 rides before making our way out for a traffic-filled drive home. All in all, it was an amazingly thrilling and exhausting day. This park is fucking huge and crazy, and thank God it was dead. If it was busy, we would have needed 2 days for this bad boy easily. And honestly, even dead, we probably should have done 2 days so we could have spent another day getting footage and re-riding all of our favorites from the park, because there were a lot. X2, Tatsu, West Coast Racers, Twisted Colossus, Batman, and even, dare I say it, Riddler's Revenge all have a lot of re-rideability to them, and I could see myself marathoning each one of these coasters all day long. As for my absolute favorite of them, I think it's easy to see that with 10 rides, Twisted Colossus takes that mantle, with my least favorite ride in the park being Superman Escape from Krypton. It was so great to get back to this park after 16 years, and it for sure won't be another 16 until I go back. Guys, thanks for watching and following along on our Californian adventure. We had a ton of fun on this trip, and we still have Disneyland, California Adventure, and SeaWorld San Diego left to go. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can be notified the minute those videos go live. And sound off in the comments. I want to know what your favorite ride in this park is and your feelings on Magic Mountain as a whole. And until next time, adventure on.